Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. There are 156 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan. 11 are in the Northwest and 6 are in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 127 active cases. There are 211 cases in the Northwest and 2,158 province-wide. 173 people are in hospital, with 8 in the Northwest. Almost 481,000 vaccine doses have been administered in Saskatchewan, with more than 33,000 in our zone. 82% of Saskatchewan residents over 60 have received their first dose. Yesterday, May 5th, marked the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. People from the Onion Lake Cree Nation united to commemorate Red Dress Day and show their support. Our Shelby Clark has more.
Residents came together to remember all the victims in their community from the violence against Indigenous women, men, and girls. People sang traditional songs, gave speeches, and had a run to honor their loved ones.
I'm running for my late brother-in-law. He's been missing for 12 years and since February of 2006, I believe.
Gopher is running for his brother-in-law and for a woman named Violet, who was missing for nearly a year, and her body has now been found. He believes this day is not only for Indigenous peoples, but also for people across the world.
I feel really honored on doing this for everybody that I'm doing it for, and it feels great.
This movement was a way to honor their families and to let their stolen loved ones know that they're never forgotten. In the Onion Lake Cree Nation alone, they've lost 9 members in their community.
It's a big movement that doesn't get enough recognition. So our Indigenous women already fall under the radar, and being that we can recognize and bring this movement to light in our community, we wanted to honor that, and in doing so, we thought of a site. We wanted to create a site.
They wanted a place where families can gather and heal. Everything fell into place with support and community involvement for them to have the event in such a short amount of time. They were also able to plant a tree of hope called Weeping Willow for families who are still searching.
Our ladies are not forgotten today. It's just a really humbling feeling, and I'm really thankful that our leadership and our nation stands behind movements like this, because I believe every community needs a movement like this.
For Primetime Local News, I'm Shelby Clark.
An event to raise awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Day was also held here in the border city last night, which took place at Lloydminster City Hall.
There's not really much besides today to get the awareness out.
Cassandra Shalafu has a close connection to this day, as the father of her child, Brian Jimmy, has been missing since last June.
I come to spread awareness because not everybody celebrates it every day like us, so I come out today to show and hopefully get the word out, show more awareness, and people to understand.
May 5th is recognized around Canada and the U.S. as Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Day. It also coincides with Red Dress Day, which was inspired by an art project by Jamie Black. The red dresses symbolize the missing women and girls, but the day is transforming and starting to include more stories about Indigenous men.
Indigenous women and men, they are murdered and they disappear and they go missing at a substantially higher rate than non-racialized or non-Indigenous people. I don't think that this should be for one day. I think that this needs to be recognized 365 days a year so that we can really start to rectify the issue.
Even though Red Dress Day only started around 2010, thousands of Indigenous people have gone missing or been murdered over the last 30 years, a problem that has affected families for many generations.
It really is tough on my kids right now. At first, they didn't really understand. They thought maybe he was just gone for a little bit and he was going to come back. Um, Now I think they understand more. They are in a state of anger. His family is in a state of anger as well.
Although the search for Brian is still underway, Cassandra knows she can rely on the community during this difficult time.
Just being able to come at some kind of peace in a moment, although it's not going to last very long. It was just very grateful to have all the support and everybody there.
There was also an opportunity for the participants to write the name of an Indigenous person they know who has been murdered or gone missing. A group of 10 Lloydminster residents are gearing up to bike over 1,000 kilometers to raise funds for local breakfast programs. Jace Mackey has more.
I'm joined today here on Primetime Local News with Sean Newman. He's part of a group of 10 Lloydminster residents who are going to be biking for a good cause. It's part of a campaign called Bike for Breakfast YLL. Sean, first of all, just tell me a little bit about what is Bike for Breakfast.
There's a group of 10 of us from town. We're going to bike from Lloydminster here to Tufnell, Saskatchewan and back. It's about 1,050 kilometer roughly round trip. We're leaving June 4th at 5 p.m. and should be back in Lloydminster, barring any disaster or weather or et cetera. Sometime Sunday afternoon is the thought. And just trying to raise some money for some local schools.
So who are some of the people that are going to be taking part in this, and how did it first kind of come to be?
The people taking part in it is Neki Jamal, a dentist at Wayside, Ken Rutherford, a professor at Lakeland College, Natalie Weeb, a teacher at in the public school division, Becky Grassel, a teacher in the Catholic school division, Nigel Dubé, coach of the Bobcats, Jim Taylor, owner of Grinding Gears, Brad Hoffman, owner of Fourth Meridian, Tracy Matthews, her and her husband own Endeavor Machining, and Raynetta Morningchild works for Onion Lake. She's an administrator out there. So that's the group of us. I should point out, we got some behind the scene people, as you well are aware of in the media industry. So I got to give a shout out to P. Brokoff at Wayside Dental, Trisha Hunter at BPC, and then the group of the Lloydminster Kinsman Club. They're handling all the checks and money and that type of thing. As for how it got started, it started out with, I call it the stupid idea that's just grown legs and snowballed. It was a conversation between myself and kind of popular icon in Saskatchewan, Quick Dick McDick, about a road trip out to Tufnell that turned into a me biking, that turned into more people wanting to bike, that turned into let's raise some money, and here we sit.
So what's the money going to be going towards, and how was that kind of decided?
Yeah, we want it to go towards breakfast programs or food, I guess, is if you really want to just narrow in on the simple of it. We want it to go to food. It's been brought up as a concern. I don't mean to play that all kids are going hungry to school, because that's an absolute lie. But we've heard some stories, and we know the current, climate of where we're at and the circumstances everybody's living in, and we just want to try and lend a hand. I guess that's the biggest thing. And we know that I have trouble functioning on an empty stomach. I'm sure you do too, Jason. To have kids maybe showing up to school with little or nothing in their lunchbox, we just want to try and help that along as best we can.
I know I saw beginning part of last year, I saw at the 100 Women Who Care event, I saw a presentation from the Lloydminster Public School Division talking about their breakfast program. And it really hit me how important that is to, fuel children and ensure that they have the nutrition that they need. Now, I also saw on the Facebook page that there's been some donations from local businesses. Can you just talk a little bit about what the reaction has been like so far to this campaign?
Well, I got to give Neki Jamal and Wayside a huge tip of the cap. He was one of the first people I approached it with, and Wayside Dental's stepped up with $25,000. And then a company that's been extremely good to me all through my career and the podcast and everything has been Crude Master. They matched at 25 grand. So right off the hop, we were rolling. And then, we stopped into Roberge Brothers and Fountain Tire, and they each gave us $5,000. And, So I think we were sitting, I haven't checked the number before I came on here, but this morning it was about 66,000 is what had come in, which is, I mean, once again, I just look at what's going on in the world and where the industry's sitting at and everything. And our community is so awesome. And we're just trying to do some good. And I think companies recognize that. And it's been, I don't know, pretty moving, to visit with a few of them. And they've heard some stories too. And they're reaching out and they want to help.
And the money isn't just going to be going to us, the 2 school divisions here in Lloyd. It's kind of going to be spread out to some others around the region as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 5 school divisions that we're looking at. We realize that, I tell the story. I'm from Hillmont, Jace, but as a kid, I grew up not wondering whether do I say I'm from Hillmont or do I say I'm from Lloydminster. That's how, we're far enough away. They're 2 different places, but we're close enough. And in the area we live, they're kind of the same thing. And so we knew that Lloyd is more than Lloyd, essentially. And so there's the Lloydminster Public, Lloyd Catholic, Northwest, Buffalo Trails, and then Onion Lake.
And so for people who are interested in contributing to this, how are they able to do so?
We got a GoFundMe page that they can find if they go to our social media. So Bike for Breakfast is on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If they're a company and they want to write a check or anything like that, make checks payable to Lloydminster Kinsman Club, but they can message us on social media and or the podcast if they want, and we'll get them to the right place. And we truly do appreciate all the support that's come in thus far.
Well, I want to thank you, Sean, for taking some time to talk with me today. It was great to talk with you, and this is such a great initiative that you guys are starting to do.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on, Jace. I appreciate you reaching out.
Now we're Connor Chan. We'll take a first look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Looking right now, 18 degrees. We had a pretty nice day. The sun came back out. Of course, we did talk about rain yesterday, but the sun did come back out around that 7, 8 o'clock range. So it's going to be this weekend where we could see some rain, but we may not see a whole lot of that. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit here. But looking right now at some other temperatures, 18 degrees also in Vermilion, Marwayne, St. Paul, Bonnyville, and Cold Lake. We look at 20 degrees out in Edmonton and Vegreville, 19s in Provost and Macklin, and going over to other areas in Saskatchewan, 17 for North Battleford as well as in Maidstone. And then meanwhile, we see a stream of 16-degree temperatures in St. Walburg, Meadow Lake, and Green Lake, and then 12 degrees up in Isle of Cross. So here's what I'm talking about here. So we are getting a low pressure system that's going to make its way into Alberta, which is going to create all that rain, but the majority of it is going to be in the central areas there. So Edmonton and Grand Prairie and all those areas are going to see a lot of rain. We are going to see that passing by us just a little bit. We will have periods of rain throughout the day tomorrow. Then we could see some rain overnight heading into Saturday morning around that 3 a.m. mark, but for the most part, it won't be a whole lot, but we will see something, which I guess something is better than nothing at this point, given how dry we've been over the last little bit here. 0 degrees overnight in North Battleford, and going into tomorrow, that cloud coverage is going to carry over at 15 degrees for the daytime for tomorrow. 5 degrees overnight in Cold Lake with 14 tomorrow for them throughout the day, and then for us here in Lloydminster, 3 degrees will be our temperature overnight, and then we could see some periods of rain, as I mentioned, with 13 as our daytime high. So here's a look at what we could see over the next couple of days, especially on this Mother's Day weekend here. So we will have nice temperatures if you are going to do something out on the backyard for your mom this weekend, having a nice little barbecue around. Make sure, of course, it's following COVID protocols, of course, there. 11 degrees on Saturday and then going to 14 on Sunday on that Mother's Day with that low of -2. That is a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
While the Bonnyville Pontiacs had a disappointing end to the season, having their schedule cut short, 2 Pontiacs have been rewarded. Evan Kenny has more on the newest NCAA signings.
Both Easton Hest and Jaden York typically exemplify what a Bonnyville Pontiac's about, and that's number 1, to be a great person, number 2, to come to work and try and not only better themselves, but be servant to their teammates in the community.
2 third-year Pontiacs continuing their hockey careers at the NCAA level. Goaltender Easton Hess will be heading off to Lake Superior State University, while assistant captain Jaden York will be off to Skidmore College.
They took a leadership role and they were champions within this COVID world that we had to operate in terms of bringing a young group that we had to finish the season. And
nice shot, and Hess with a great save coming across. He's made a few here in this first 3.5 minutes.
Hess, the Pontiac's Rookie of the Year in 2018 and Unsung Hero in 2019, played 92 games with the team and has posted a .918 save percentage and a 2.57 goals against average.
He's proved himself every year. He has been a guy that even before he got to the junior level was an MVP type guy going to the TELUS Cup. And I think that Lake Superior State's getting a slam dunk guy that's going to be able to jump into their program, and he's going to be able to challenge for spots, and he's going to be able to challenge their current older guys for the net.
I knew it was my last year, so I wanted to make the most of it. We had a really good group of guys that helped me a lot with my numbers and whatever. And overall, just took each game one at a time and played my best throughout. We'll have a plan with my goalie coaches and what I need to really work on to get to that next level. But I think my game's going to transfer quite nicely into the NCAA, and I know I'm going to do good things.
York has played 114 games with Sweater, winning the team's most gentlemanly player award, and brings intangibles off the ice.
Not only are we tremendously proud of the accomplishments of what he did here as a Bonnyville Pontiac, we know that Skidmore College is going to get a future captain in their program just because of who he is and as a person and how hard he plays. And this year, certainly, he was a catalyst.
The two are the 90th and 91st Pontiac players to commit to the college level since 2013. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Well, that's just amazing to see a golf ball make it all the way from Alberta all the way to on the other side of the world there. That is just remarkable. I'm very, very shocked that that actually did happen. But as we take a look now at some other temperatures here in the area, still sitting around 18 degrees. We see some 20s in Edmonton, Edson, and Whitecourt, 18s also in Jasper. We see some 19s in Red Deer and Athabasca as well. Looking over to Saskatchewan, a little bit same as us here, I guess, with 17 in North Battleford, with 15 in Meadow Lake, as well as in Saskatoon, 12 degrees in Melfort, and 14 in Prince Albert. Taking a look to the north, it's pretty mild right now as we see those single digits still hovering around at 8 degrees in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, with 6s in Walston Lake and South End, and La Ronge and Flin Flon sitting at 9 degrees each. 20 degrees we see up north, so it's very much warmer than northern Saskatchewan right now, with 20s for Slave Lake, Peace River, Grand Prairie, and High Level as well. Now as we take a look to southern Alberta, as we look right now, 21 for Lethbridge, 19 degrees in Medicine Hat, 18 for Coronation, as well as in Banff, and then 20 degrees in Calgary. As I did talk about that low pressure system moving in from the Rockies into Alberta, these are just some of the areas that could see some of that rain over the course of the weekend, starting tomorrow, carrying over into Saturday. So we should have some nice temperatures clearing up for Mother's Day weekend here. As we talk about southern Saskatchewan, it's a little bit of a different story as we see a city, Cypress Hill areas, south of Swift Current, it's a bit of a tongue twister right there. They could see upwards maybe up to 7 centimeters of some snow. So yeah, snow in May, that's not quite brand new for us here in Canada, but we see 17 degrees in Moose Jaw and Estevan, 18 degrees in Kindersley, and then 16 out in Regina. Taking a look to temperatures across the country, 11 in Winnipeg with 9 in Quebec City. A little bit of rain action in the Maritimes. We could see some snow also in those areas as well, with 2 degrees in St. John's and 7 in Halifax, 13 degrees in Toronto. Looking ahead west to Vancouver, 18 degrees right now. They could also see lots of rain in parts of British Columbia, 12 degrees in Yellowknife, and then 11 degrees in Whitehorse. Now as we take a look at what we could see tomorrow, we could see some periods of rain throughout the day, but maybe not a whole lot as we will see out in Edmonton for tomorrow. So 14s out in Vermilion, Vegreville, and Edmonton, 15 for Bonnyville tomorrow, with a 14 in Cold Lake as well. We will see a daytime high for us here in Lloydminster of 13 degrees, and then we'll see 14 in Maidstone and 15 degrees in North Battleford. Now take a look to the next couple of days here. 11 degrees, as I mentioned there, for Saturday. We could see some of that rain as well. Again, it depends. It could change depending on how the system moves. 15 degrees for Sunday, so we should have some clear skies and warm temperatures for Mother's Day Sunday. 17 degrees on Monday, and we get back to some pretty warm temperatures throughout the midweek. 21 degrees with some cloud coverage continuing on into Wednesday with a high of 18, and then we'll see another 18-degree day there on Thursday. We usually average around 17 degrees around the month of May, and then 4 is usually around our daytime low. So we are well above average, and we will be above average for starting on that Monday. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Leanne Hawes, the CEO of the Lloydminster and District Co-op, joins me, and the co-op was another Lloydminster business who were nominated through the Alberta Business Awards of Distinction. The co-op was nominated in the diversity category. Leanne, what was your reaction to the nomination in this category?
Yeah, so we were really excited. It was really nice to see a lot of local representation on the list, but also as a cooperative model business, to be provincially recognized like that was really exciting. And in the diversity category, which is really important to us.
What does diversity mean to the Lloydminster and District Co-op?
Yeah, so diversity is really why we exist. We have 20,000 unique member owners. We have diversity in terms of what we offer through our certainly our business portfolio, different commodities and agriculture, propane, petroleum, food, pharmacy, as well as our staff base. And so we have 230 local employees. And diversity is really important to us. We believe it is the reason and part of the reason that we are so successful. So to be nominated in that category is really exciting. So diversity and inclusion is also very important to the co-op for a number of reasons. Certainly we try to work to make it an inclusive and safe workplace, which is also part of the Diversity and Inclusion Award. And we've done a number of things and initiatives over the last couple of years that have really led to that in terms of staff engagement, in terms of training and awareness, development, and safe workspaces, benefits, those types of things. So again, in this category, that is all covered, and we're really proud of our accomplishments in that area.
When you look at all the other nominees from Lloyd as a whole, how does that signify businesses here in the city that continue to do good, not only for the community, but also the employees as well?
I mean, to see all the Lloydminster nominees on there was really exciting. Certainly, again, like you mentioned, through the pandemic, to me, it demonstrates, resilience and effort and pride. And I think for Lloydminster to be recognized in that way, again, provincially, is something we should all be very proud of. And I was excited to read through the list and see the finalists. So, going to be rooting for all of them on June 25th.
Leanne, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Welcome to Pet Project, everybody. I'm joined once again with Becca Lawrence from the Lloydminster and Community SPCA. How are you doing today, Becca?
Doing really good. How are you?
We're doing great over here. So I hear we got a cute little cat, not a kitten, fully grown.
Yeah. Yeah, we think she's about 2 years old. So we'll try to show her here. She's a little bit timid, but this little girl here is Tinsy. And, quit moving. And she came into the shelter probably about 2 months ago. So she came in through bylaw. She was picked up outside, and then she, not even 24 hours later, had baby kittens. So she was pretty much ready to pop when she got picked up. So it was kind of funny with her. She had 2 kittens, like basically the day she got here. And then the other 2 weren't really coming out. So we took her to the vet. But then they kind of gave her some medicine just to help her along, and sure enough, she popped a couple more out. So her 4 babies are pretty much all ready to go. I think the foster has claimed one of them, but other than that, the other one of them is at the vet right now getting spayed, and then the other 2 are just waiting for their dates as well too.
Beautiful. Well, that's so fortunate that, she was able to get found and brought in just in time for her to be able to have her kittens in a safe environment, which, brings up a good point that it's always important to, contact the SPCA or the city when you do find these animals, out in the wild. If you know for sure that, it's not your neighbor's cat, don't call the SPCA.
Yeah.
If your neighbor's cat is hanging out in the backyard, don't do that.
Yes.
But, and a nice parlay, because you mentioned that obviously she did have her kittens, and it is officially kitten kitten season here in the border city. So as we move into that, the springtime where, you know, you guys are going to have a lot more cats coming in and things like that, what's something that, you know, the community should be aware of?
Yeah, you know, I mean, like obviously here at the SPCA, we always like kittens and injured animals are going to trump, you know, anything else that's out and about. Like obviously with the warmer weather now too, it's nice, you know, we can at least be like, you know, if it looks happy and healthy, just leave it alone. You know, and it most likely does have a home and it's going that way. If you notice if it's sticking around and not eating or drinking anything like that, again, let us know again too. But yeah, I mean, like as of right now, you know, we are going to get an influx of kittens, we think. And again, like you kind of said, in her case, she was ready to pop, and it was better for her to have those kittens here than, you know, become feral little kitties out in the wild. So, you know, if you do see an animal in distress, absolutely always let us know.
Definitely, and you brought up a good point. It's a good idea to, I guess, kind of test the waters a little bit before you call in, right?
Yeah.
I know I have a neighborhood cat that kind of roams around a little bit, and I know that it doesn't go hungry because I've seen him out there and I've left food out for him, and it's gone untouched. I know he's hanging out across the street. He lives there. He just comes to say hi every night, which is fine. Beautiful. And so. Becca, your AGM is actually coming up here right away. So, you know, what can people look forward to, you know, if they want to get in on the action per se?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like it's going to obviously go through our last year of information of what happened at the shelter. And then too, we are like offering up to if you want to get a membership, and then that allows you to vote at our AGM. So if in any case, you know, if we're voting in new board members or anything like that, then that gets you that vote. And then also too, like I just said, like, you know, if you want to join the board, you know, that's something that we're always very open to as well. And then, yeah, just basically like if you have a say on something and you want us to hear it, we absolutely want to hear it. You know, like we're always open to new ideas and new ways of trying different things, you know, to maybe get us in a different direction.
Perfect. All right. So again, anybody out there, you know, if you want to help out, if you think that you might have, you know, some skill sets that would help the SPCA, you know, if you want to get involved with the organization, you know, certainly this is the way to start. And real quick before we go, you know, we've been talking about kitten season and et cetera, et cetera. Something worth noting is your guys' foster program, which we like to bring up on these types of occasions that, you know, if you want to help out but you can't permanently take in an animal, you could always do something like, you know, maybe perhaps foster a cat or some kittens. So is there any information you'd like to throw out for that, Becca?
Yeah, you know, like we were kind of mentioning in a few pet projects ago, you know, it's something that we are trying to build an actual foster program where, you know, we have fosters that are ready, that are willing to work with bottle babies, things like that. And, you know, not try and find it last minute when they come in sort of deal. But, you know, that's something that we're always looking for is the bottle babies. And then even just hanging on to moms with babies until they're all ready to go, or even, you know, babies obviously too that are old enough to eat, but they don't have mom, and then they just need to get out of the shelter until they're old enough to go out for adoption.
Beautiful. Well, there you go, everybody. There's a whole laundry list of good deeds that you could do if you want to be able to help out the SPCA and help out some animals. And let's not forget, obviously, Tinsy is up for adoption. We've seen her in the background there. She just seems so sweet and so calm. So definitely, if you're interested, stop by and say hi. But we're unfortunately out of time this week, Becca, but I just want to say thank you once again for joining us. Thank you, Tinsy, for taking time out of your day. And we will speak with you again next week.
Perfect. We'll see you next week.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. We are going to see periods of rain for tomorrow with a 13-degree daytime high. We are going to see a little bit more rain potentially Saturday, but it's going to be more so in the central parts of Edmonton is where the majority of that rain is going to go. 15 degrees on Sunday for Mother's Day, 17 on Monday. Warm up a little bit more on Tuesday with that high at 21, but we will see a little bit more cloud coverage throughout the week. 18 degrees on Wednesday, and we'll see that number as well on Thursday. We're pretty good for our averages, which is 17 usually for the month of May for our highs and 4 for our average daytime lows in the month of May.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great rest of your night.